Back in. We're gonna get to this book later. Man, God, and Civilization. Get that in your library. This is our culture, reading and writing, all right? No one taught us that, we taught ourselves. And so I wanted to take you back to this book. Introduction, African Civilization by Aries Gain, Dr. John G. Jackson, the legend, right? Introduction by Dr. John Henry Clark Winoka Rashidi. And so we're gonna go to the chapter called Africa and the Discovery of America. This is the name of the chapter. You got a chapter here called Africa and the Discovery of America. So let's see what it says in his book. I want you to check this out down here where it says the idea, you see it, the idea that Africans were in the New World 3,000 years ago, we down here. It's hard for many people to believe, even among the educated classes, for old stereotypes die hard, but there is no lack of evidence in this respect. J.A. Rogers in Africa's Gift to America cites Latin American scholars on the African influence in America. For example, C.C. Marquez is quoted as saying, the Negro type, the black type, right, African type, is seen in the most ancient Mexican sculpture. Negroes figure frequently in the most remote traditions. Remote mean ancient traditions. The most ancient traditions, right? We're right here. From the Mexican historian Riva Palacio, we have the following. It is indisputable that in very ancient times, the black race occupied our territory, Mexico. The Mexicans we call a Negro god, a black god, Zatilton, which means blackface, and also have the testimony of, we have the testimony of Nicholas Leon, who declares that the almost extinction of the original Negroes during the time of the Spanish conquest and memories of them in the most ancient traditions induce us to believe that Negroes were the first inhabitants of Mexico. The presence of an African substratum in the religious systems of ancient America is undeniable. It has been noticed by the careful observer Colin O'Brien that some statues of the Indian gods in Central America possess typical Negro features, and certain prehistoric statues were undoubtedly black people. We have, for instance, such statues in Teotihuacan and Palenque, a gigantic African head carved in the granite near the Mexican volcano of Tuxtla. This is from the book Shadow of Atlantis, page 40. And so, like I'm saying, this is a introduction to African civilization, Dr. John G. Jackson. And you see how he said, C.C. Marquez said, the black type is seen in the most ancient Mexican sculpture. Right? These are Latin American scholars, right? Get their book, C.C. Marquez, right? Then it says, Negroes figure frequently in the most ancient traditions. This is America, right? And then from the Mexican historian Riva Palacio, we have the following. It is indisputable that in very ancient times, the black people occupy our territory, Mexico. Huh? The Mexicans we call a black god, Egtilton, which means blackface. And also we have the testimony of Nicholas Leon, who declared that the almost extinction of the original black folks during the time of the Spanish conquest and the memories of them in the most ancient traditions induce us to believe that Negroes were the first inhabitants of Mexico. And so, as we get this book in your library, right, and look what this guy said. He said, it has been noticed, this is a colonel, some statues of the Indian gods in Central America possess black features, and certain prehistoric statues will undoubtedly represent Africans. In Teotihuacan, I know how to say it, but I'll say it later. In Palenque, and the gigantic African head carved near the Mexican volcano, Shadow of Atlantis, page 40. You're gonna get that in your library too. See, it's important to read because it changes your mentality. So you might run to me. I'm like, hey, I know my history. That's why I walk with it. So I want you to know your history, and I'll just keep on building. And for those who also want to know, you definitely learn. But get your library up. You know what I'm saying? And let's have some intellectual, enlightened conversations. You feel me? And that's real. And I showed you yesterday in this other book how we go right over to this book. He says this other book. It says again, Sir W. Jones says Mr. Bruce and Brian have proved that the Greeks gave the appellation of Indians to the nations of Africa, to the people among whom we now live. I shall account for the following. You get what I'm saying? So it just shows you that he just said the Greeks gave the appellation of Indians to Africa. So Columbus called us Indians. That I just showed you in African civilization how they were showing that it was black people. So that's when you have to start thinking about your rights and your laws. See, a lot of people fight for civil rights, but civil rights are not addressing that you are already in America. Civil rights are addressing what happened after the slave trade or after like the Civil War and stuff like that. You need to find out dealing with your rights that happened when you were already here. How do somebody got a casino and land and getting checks and you have information to show that you are already here? Let's open this book up real quick to show you that you need to fight for your rights. So he said Africa and the discovery of America. And then I showed you the Greeks gave the Appalachian Indians to the African nations. So they were calling Africans Indians. Okay. And so that's why sometimes you go into like ancient Egypt and you'll see like the black people with the straight hair. Because that's style. Or you come to America and you see what black people with straight hair. And they called us Indians. Okay. So and we had locks too. We had locks, we had waves, all that in Africa, India, and America. Real talk. And so I just wanted to show y'all that. Let's keep building. I love y'all. Talk to the universe, listen to the universe, and we're going to keep building. All right? One. Your boy Jay Pella.